Sometime early last year, I was watching a documentary. It was about drought in Malawi. I found the documentary saddening and shocking, particularly the mention of drought being caused or worsened by climate change. I was shocked to learn that climate change was happening now, and even more shocked to discover that it was causing death now. When I began to understand the true severity of the climate crisis, I felt angry that 14 years of education had failed to teach me even the basics on this topic. As a young person growing up into a world that would be greatly affected by climate change, I deserve to be taught about it. This shows strong failure in my education. We all ought to be taught the truth about climate change, and certainly shouldn't have to discover it through a documentary after being in school for over a decade.
And Joe isn't alone here. In fact, a recent survey showed only 4% of students feel they know a lot about the climate crisis. This is something that is going to inevitably affect all of our futures, so we know that the current system is just not good enough anymore. If we want a sustainable future, that figure has to be around 90%. And therefore we need people to be equipped to teach about climate change and sustainability. But 3/4 of our teachers feel they haven't received adequate training to educate students on climate change. Young people need to be given the skills to grow up in a world facing massive climate disruption, whatever subjects they study, whatever school they go to, whatever they go on to do.
And this is why we believe that climate crisis education must be liberated from the current subjects in which it's taught and be made the very foundation of education as a whole. With the climate emergency and ecological breakdown being the single greatest threat to the younger generation, sustainability must be a golden thread running through every available topic, from colonialism in history to the harmful effects of the animal agricultural industry and food technology, and the current suffering in the global south in subjects such as PSHE and politics. By ensuring that all young people have a well-rounded knowledge of the climate crisis, we would therefore be preparing them for their future livelihoods, as no matter if you're a builder or a banker, a farmer or a pharmacist, you can understand the world around you and how you can make a positive impact upon it.
As Charlie said, by embedding climate education into every available area within school, we are preparing young people for their future professions. However, the issue of informing the youngest generation on this grave threat extends far further than the traditional classroom setting. In this new age of technology, children are from a young age using devices to stream and watch videos, read books and listen to podcasts and music, all of which create subconscious connections that create lasting opinions about what is conceived to be normal. Teach the Future feels that it is important that we also embrace this as part of the new normal for climate education, and that this provides not just an awareness but an acknowledgement for the responsibility that we hold as part of our society. We know the media feeds into our daily lives and can adjust the way that we think and act, and whilst the media has a responsibility to provide this extended education, it also needs to be careful in the way it covers the delicate issue of climate change, as there must be a recognition for the increasing cases of climate anxiety, especially among adolescents.
We need to build a resilient society that's equipped with all of the knowledge and skills needed to deal with the now inevitable impacts of climate change. And making sure that our education system includes this knowledge is the first step forward. Ultimately, we need a Green New Deal, which is a 10-year government-led mobilisation to rapidly phase out fossil fuels whilst also solving the massive inequality problem that we have in the UK. This inequality problem is replicated in our education system, where the current power imbalance means the system is favoured towards more privileged neurotypical students. And it's time that we break down these access restrictions so that we have a more fair and equitable education system for all. Now, due to the current economic recession, we're going to be seeing more government spending. In a way, it's going to act as an economic stimulus to reboot the economy. But we must ensure that decarbonising the economy, decarbonising education establishments and decolonising the education system is a part of this.
This new normal needs to encompass climate education in its entirety, but how do we do this and how do we do this well? Teach the Future has 3 asks which will create a sustainable, productive education system and learning environment for all. The first is a government-commissioned review into how the education system prepares students for the climate emergency. The second relates to teaching, with the inclusion of the climate crisis in teacher training and a new professional teaching qualification. The last is the implementation of the English Climate Emergency Education Act, which we wrote and unveiled earlier this year. In schools, this plays out into a constructive atmosphere for both students and teachers, where everyone feels educated and empowered to create change. With 75% of teachers feeling that they haven't received adequate training about climate change, these reforms are vital in ensuring a just and sustainable future. Education is not restricted to classrooms. It is important that we acknowledge this, and that a new normal for schooling is inclusive of all learning types, so that we can create lasting educational change for all.
The engagement of children is vital in the fight against the climate crisis. As we have seen through the Fridays for Future movement, children care deeply about the planet and are alarmed by the effects that climate change will have on their lives and the lives of others. Yet we do not understand this crisis sufficiently, as we are not taught about it properly in schools, and our lack of understanding inhibits our potential to take action and understand its severity. We know the media can fill in the blanks that our education system is not providing us with. We have described the profound influence that the media has over children, and we know that if children's media, if their books, their movies and their television focus the narrative around the climate crisis, children would understand this issue from a much younger age and in far more depth. We need you to create a generation that understands the climate crisis and empowers them to take action to create a just and green future.